Hello and assalamu alaikum. Good evening, all of you. Welcome to ACCA Practice to Pass webinars for September 2020 exams for paper PM Performance Management. This is day 4 and today is 20th August and I'm your tutor Hanif. First of all, I would like to make sure whether my voice and screen is all clear. I want the response whether my voice and screen is all clear to all of you. Come on, everyone. Okay. Okay, that's good. And I am giving the response to the student that where can we get the recordings of this webinar? Do you have my WhatsApp number or are you in the WhatsApp group? Recordings are all available and the link had been shared. Precious Adino. Okay. Now, students, we are starting with today's session and this is day 4 and today's agenda is to cover the costing techniques. As I have previously mentioned that usually one OTQ comes from this section, which is section B, costing technique, and we get the first topic and that is absorption and activity based costing. So let's start with this, and I will be covering today absorption and activity based costing, life cycle costing, target costing, and throughput accounting. The handouts are attached in the handout section, so all of you can view those questions which we will be doing, and the main focus will be on OTQs because usually one OTQ comes from this section. And now let's start with the first topic, that is absorption and ABC. All set, students? All set, students? Shall we proceed? Yes, walaikum assalam. Okay, so let's start the today's session. And yes, walaikum assalam. Okay, so that is the absorption costing, and absorption costing is basically the costing of overheads. It is the costing of overheads. I will use the short form which is OH, overheads. Okay, now overheads, what is the main purpose of absorption costing is to share the overheads to the products. Now there may be product 1, there may be product 2, there may be product 3, and overheads is something which is the indirect cost, which is the indirect cost and is incurred for the entire factory. Overhead cost is not only incurred that is specifically for the product. The cost that is specifically incurred for the product is known as the direct cost. This is the indirect cost, that is the entire factory is covered. A very common example like rent. Okay, like rent, that you are paying the rent for the factory not to make the single product. There is a single premises in which three products, let's suppose product 1, product 2, product 3 are being manufactured in a single premises, and the rent is being paid for the entire factory. All right. So you are incurring the rent, you are paying the rent not specifically for the one product, but it is being paid for the entire premises. So this cost is known as the indirect cost and it is called the overheads. Obviously, the rent is being paid for the entire factory and we are making three products in this factory. So like for example, the rent, it should be charged, it should be shared to product 1, product 2 and product 3 as well. Okay, because the rent is being incurred for the entire factory, it should be shared, it should be shared among all these three products. Now, how will you share, how will you share the overheads among all the three products? The common basis of sharing of overheads are labor hours or machine hours, whichever is higher, whichever is higher. Now, why the absorption costing takes the higher value of either labor or machine hours? I'm going to explain in the next slide. Just remember this thing that we are studying the costing for overheads, and the main purpose of overheads costing is to share the overheads among all the products. Is to share the overheads among all the products. Why? Because overheads are being incurred for the entire factory. It is not specifically for the particular product. How will you share? Either labor hours or machine hours. These are known as the basis of sharing. We will take the higher figure. It is basically the property of absorption costing, and absorption costing is sometimes known as volume based costing. I will explain in the next slide. See, this is a simple example. This is a simple example that is overheads amounted 28,000, product A, product B. Total labor hours, total, note the word total and total. Total labor hours 2,000 and 6,000, which means in factory, in factory, the total labor hours are 8,000 and total machine hours are 1 plus 2, 3,000. That means the factory is said to be the labor intensive. Why labor intensive? Because because if you can make a total, that factory is totally running for 11,000 hours, 8,000 labor hours and 3,000 machine hours. But what is the property of absorption costing is that just check, just check on which particular resource the production is heavily dependent. In this case, we can say my factory is labor intensive, which means which means production is heavily dependent on labor hours. Factory is heavily dependent on labor hours. So absorption costing says that whichever the higher figure is, now this was the logic behind this higher figure, whatever the higher figure is, either labor or machine hour, take this as a base. Now this is one of the limitation of absorption costing, that it ignores the low volume activity, it focuses on the high volume activity. So which is the high volume activity? High volume activity is labor and the figure is 8,000 hours. What is the total overheads? 28,000. What is the total labor hours? 8,000 total. Now we will be calculating a rate which is called overhead absorption rate, OAR. OAR stands for overheads absorption rate, and it is calculated as overheads upon activity level. And activity level is either machine or labor hour, whichever is higher. Now, if I will divide 28,000 divided by 8, it is giving me 3.5. Now, what is 8,000? It is hours. So 3.5 is per hour, which means 3.5 shows something. This is an estimated rate. Remember that this is an estimated figure. This is an estimated rate. This is an estimated, because overheads are estimated. I don't know what will be the invoice for the energy, for the electricity in the next month. I don't know. I can only estimate that. So this is merely the estimated figure. So what does this figure show? It shows that it shows that when labor will work 1 hour, overheads would be overheads would be $3.5. Overheads would be $3.5. Now, how many labor hours are there in product A? The total labor hours in product A is 2000 and 6000. So, what we will be doing here, what we will be doing here, that is product A, and 3.5 multiplied by 2000, 3.5 multiplied by 6000. Now the overheads will be shared. 3.5 multiplied by 2000, that is 7000, and 3.5 multiplied by 6000, that will be 21,000, which becomes total of 28,000. So like that way, overheads are being shared among the products on the basis of either labor hours or machine hours, whichever is higher. Absorption costing aims to share the overheads. You can write these words which I am dictating: overheads. Absorption costing aims to share the overheads among all the products, among all the products based on the high volume activity, based on the high volume activity, which is either machine hours or labor hours. So you can write here, this is also called volume based costing. This is also called volume based costing. This is also called volume based costing. Okay, so this was simple. This is also called traditional absorption costing. This is also called what are traditional absorption costing. It's a traditional costing. Traditional costing means like old methodologies of costing. So this was simple the example of this was simply the example of overheads absorption costing, which is also known as volume based costing. Now there is another costing which is activity based costing. There is another costing which is activity based costing, ABC. See what is written here. It is also the costing of overheads. Now the first point is clear. What is ABC? That is activity based costing. Activity based costing, it is also the costing of overheads. When I'm saying that it is a costing of overheads, that means here overheads will also be shared. Overheads will also be shared among products. What's the next statement? What is the next interesting statement? That is, it is a form of absorption costing. It is a form of absorption costing, which means you can say this is a kind of absorption costing. This looks like absorption costing. This is not the completely absorption costing, but this looks like the absorption costing. Okay. Now, what is the third statement that is written? And that is, overheads are shared. Overheads are shared on the basis of logical activities. Now, those logical activities are termed as cost drivers. Now, those logical activities are termed as cost drivers. What do you mean by the term cost drivers? Cost drivers, simply, you can simply say the cost driver, it's an activity which causes cost. Activity which causes cost. Simple. Now, absorption costing, there is a comparison between absorption and ABC. There is a comparison between absorption costing and ABC on the basis of only selection of activities to share the overheads. Absorption costing selects two activities, either machine or labor hours, but activity based costing, as its name implies, that is the costing based on the activity. That is a costing, something which is based on the activity. Now see, uh, this is called the cost pool. This is called the cost pool. Why we can say it's a cost pool? Because it is a collection of different overhead cost. That is something, the pool. Okay. So the cost pool, in the cost pool there are different other kinds of activities, and for example, there is a setup cost. It will not be shared on the basis of labor or machine hours. It will be shared on the basis of number of setups. Why? Because the was being incurred, setup cost was being incurred because you reset your factory production, because because you because you resetted the production process. Number two, when there is a quality inspection cost, it will be shared on the basis of number of inspection of quality, number of inspections of quality, because this is specifically the cost which was incurred to inspect the product quality, and it cannot, even it should not be shared on the basis of labor or machine hours, because it does not make a relation. What is the basic theme behind overheads and cost driver should have a logical relation. Logical relation. Now see the number three example. This is a delivery cost. Why did the delivery cost incurred? Because I delivered the goods. Because I delivered the goods at XYZ premises. So delivery cost was incurred because of number of deliveries. So you need to calculate the number of deliveries total in the factory, and then share the overheads between 2, 3, 4 products as mentioned in the question. So what is the basic difference? Absorption costing looks only two activities, that were machine hours or labor hours, whichever is higher. But absorption costing share the overheads based on the logical activities that does make sense. That is the actual reason of the incurrence of overhead cost. Okay, so ABC you can say is basically the improvement. You can say ABC is basically the improvement in the traditional absorption costing. ABC is basically the improvement in the traditional absorption costing, because traditional absorption costing was only concerned with two activity levels, that were machine or labor hours, and it is not always the case that every cost was driven by machine hours or labor hours. It is not always the case. There are too many different reasons for different kinds of overheads. The delivery cost was incurred because you delivered the goods. The inspection cost was incurred because you inspected for the quality. The setup cost was incurred because you resetted the machine, or whatever the setup activities were there. So ABC does make the logical relation between cost pool and the logical cost driver. Logical cost driver. Till here, any question? Till here, any question? All clear? Okay. 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 Yes, you can have a CRQ from this area as well. That is why I was saying that this section, which is section B, second unit of your syllabus, the second unit of your syllabus is a costing techniques. And usually, if you analyze the examining style of paper PM, usually one CRQ worth 10 marks comes from this section. I had already mentioned this thing in the day one of the webinar. And the OTQ style of question can come from ABC absorption, can maybe from life cycle, maybe from target costing, maybe from throughput accounting, environmental accounting. You can expect one CRQ. So let's take the very common, the simple example of ABC. Then we will be moving towards the OTQ style, the question 1 till 5. But first take the common example. Just note down the figures if you can immediately. Let's suppose this is a quality cost. Let's suppose this is a quality cost which is 100,000. This is a quality cost which is 100,000, and we have product 1, we have product 2. Now why this quality cost incurred? Just imagine and answer yourself why this cost was incurred. Why? Because we inspected for the quality. Because we inspected for the quality. It does not make a sensible relation with the labor hours, which was actually the production hours of the labor. Okay, the quality cost was $100,000, and let's say, for example, in product A, number of labor hours were, for example, 500, and it is 1500. And here, number of quality inspection number of quality inspection were 120 and 80, for example. Now the total becomes here 200, and total becomes here 2000. Okay, so which basis shall I select? I will not select this. I will not select this labor hour because it is not making the sensible relation. 100,000 was a quality cost that was incurred because of the quality inspection. So here we need to calculate the rate which is known as ABC recovery rate. ABC recovery rate. In a short form, I will say that it's an ABC rate. Okay. So how will this rate be calculated? ABC rate. Overheads 100,000 upon, it's a logical cost driver. Cost driver is basically the reason of the cost. This is an activity. So 100,000 divided by 200. 100,000 divided by 200, that is 500. And you should say it 500 per inspection, which means that when one inspection was made, the quality cost, it may include the salary of quality inspectors, the instruments which they are using to assess the quality of the products may include in this cost. Whatever the overhead cost totally related to the quality are including, and on per inspection it is 500,000. And how will we sharing this product A and product B? that is quality cost, simply 500 multiplied by 120 and 500 multiplied by here 80. Now this is per inspection and you can calculate it in a total. So 500 multiplied by 120, it becomes 60,000, and here it becomes 40,000. Now the total is 100,000, which had shared between these two products on the basis of their logical cost drivers. On the basis of their logical cost drivers. Okay, so you can note down in your notebook that ABC, just write the sentence which I am dictating, that ABC is the fair basis of overhead costing. ABC is the fair basis of overhead costing, and it is an improvement in the traditional absorption costing. And it is the improvement in the traditional absorption costing. And it is the improvement in the traditional absorption costing. Now, I hope this concept had been cleared. And now we have to start with the OTQ. Uh, MTQ, Mr. Subhan, MTQ or OTQ. This section will not be examined in CRQ. This section will not be examined in CRQ. It is written in the study guide, in the syllabus guide. It is written, this section will be examined either MCQ or OTQ style, not CRQ. Is it clear, all of you? Please give me a response here. Is it clear, all of you? No, not few students. Everyone, okay? Okay. Yes, Miss Farheen, Naseem, the whole section B, yes. This section, today, whatever topic we are studying here, these topics will not be examined in a CRQ manner. It is written. Okay. Uh, now we have to take a short prayer break here only for 10 minutes. That is a Maghrib prayer break. Only 10 minutes. Then after the break, I will be starting the OTQ. It is 7:30 right now. Approximately, we will be resuming at 7:40. Okay. Now offer the Maghrib prayer and come soon. Yes, we are back from the prayer break. And again, confirm me, my voice and my screen is all clear. Again, confirm me, my voice and screen is all clear. Okay, now I am addressing the questions. One or two relevant question I noticed here, and I am going to address those questions. Okay. Uh, so the questions were, wait, the questions were, okay, the question was that absorption costing took labor hours. Why the labor hours? Because it is the property of absorption costing. It is the property of absorption costing to look at the high volume activity. This was a traditional method which only looked for the high volume activity, that is on which specific resource the production is heavily dependent, either machine or labor hours. So in the previous example, it was dependent on labor hours because in total it shows the high figure. That's why. Okay. Now, before the prayer break, we had a discussion on activity based costing. I'm again repeating the activity based costing. Then it's a time comes for OTQ. Activity based costing is also the costing for overheads. Just have a quick recap. Hurry up. It is also the costing of overheads. But what is the difference between absorption and ABC? The difference is only of the selection of bases. Absorption costing share the overheads based on the machine or labor hours only, whereas activity based costing considers the logical relationship between overheads and the activity, and the activity is known as cost driver in this ABC. Now the cost pool is the variety of different overhead costs, and overheads should have a relation with the cost drivers. Now students, this was ABC, and I gave the very simple example to demonstrate you for the calculations. Okay, now it's the time for OTQ. This is the OTQ, and the question is home limited. The following scenario relates to question number 1 till 5. I am reading the question, and the question, this is the case study. This is the case study with the numerical figures with 5 requirements. Number 1. Number 2, see, this is also the type of the question. Select all that apply. Select all that apply. You might be receiving the fill in the blanks like that way. This is the fill in the blanks. This is, you have to select uh, right or wrong statement. Sometimes it is asked. Take the false statements. And this is also the fill in the blanks. This is select all that apply, and this is the uh, MCQ. You have to choose one option. Okay. So the 5 questions are related to the single case study, and the question is home limited. I am reading the question. Just focus on home limited is the manufacturing company producing two products alpha and beta in batches. Yes, in batches. Whenever you see that production is being made in batches, always calculate number of batches first. Do not proceed, do not solve the answer until and unless you calculate the batches. See, I am removing and drawing the circle again and again for your focus. Whenever you see the word batches, whenever you see the batches, always calculate number of batches first, and not to proceed with the calculation until and unless you calculated the number of batches. Okay, but right now we need to read the whole case. Home Limited is the manufacturing company producing two products alpha and beta in batches. Now I am making a final circle in batches. Okay, so and the following information is available for the period. See, this is the cost pool, and in cost pool we have got three different types of cost: inspection, setup, and property cost. Now this is the information. This is the information of the case. What is written? Units 10,000 and units per batch 1250 units per batch, which means in one batch there are 1250 units. This is the units per batch. This is the units per batch. Okay, just like in a classroom. See, this webinar is a batch as well. Huh? That number of students in a batch in a class, just like that way. So I am now removing this figure. What I had said earlier, whenever you see the word that production is dependent on batches, first of all calculate the batches. This is the total number of units. Total units, that is 10,000 and 15,000, and that's units per batch. So how many batches are there in alpha and beta? Come on, students, answer me in the chat box. How many batches for alpha? How many batches for alpha? How many batches? Okay, very good. And how many batches for beta? How many batches for beta? And that is 4. That's very good and simple. How did you calculate it that? 10,000 total number of units divided by units in a batch 1250, that is 8 batches. And here 15,000 divided by 3750 is equal to 4 batches. It is equal to 4 batches. Okay, now this is some calculation. This is some calculation for which I do not need pen and paper. I can do it in the calculator. And remember, if you do not remember, you can open this area of scratchpad as well, and you can simply note down the figures here. But as far as the webinar and this class is concerned, I will solve this because I have to send you the PDF of the solution as well. But just for the demonstration, I'm giving a demonstration. For example, this is the scratchpad. I wrote alpha. Forget about the spelling because this is not being reported to the examiner. Alpha, alpha, simple. Here I noted down how many batches? 8 batches. Okay. Beta, 4 batches. So simple. Don't worry about the spelling because it will not be reported to the examiner. This is just for my this is my e-rough paper. Okay, 8 batches and 4 batches. Now this is kind of calculation which you can note down here in a scratchpad, and obviously it is taking time because I am teaching and you people are observing, and sometimes I do repeat 2 times or 3 times a single word. That is why it is a time consuming. It perceives to be a time consuming, but once you practice on the scratchpad, it is it is a user friendly as well. Many of the students texted me on the WhatsApp that, sir, we are used to of the scratchpad. I said, well done, because it was a result of 4 days efforts according to them. 4 days, few students 5 to 6 days. Anyways, coming to the point, 8 batches and 4 batches. See, I noted down here. Okay, but I will be solving here in the rough sheet as well. In the rough sheet as well, I will be solving here. Don't worry. This is the question home limited question, and this is OTQ on absorption and ABC. Now the number one was we have not yet read the requirement, but see, I have noted here. Okay, now come to the point. These are the other requirements, other information. Sorry, floor area, labor hours per unit. See, this is per unit, and this is something which is per batch. I'm not reading this thing. This is something which is per batch. When the time will come, I will read that information again. Okay, so first remember this thing whenever you are being asked. to calculate something, anything, and the production is based on number of batches, always calculate number of batches first, then proceed with any other calculation. Okay, now I am reading the first requirement. See, it is a very simple requirement worth 2 marks. Every question worth 2 marks. Every question worth how many marks? 2 marks. Okay, so ignoring the marks, here, calculate calculate overheads cost per unit. Now see the requirement, calculate overhead cost per unit. What overhead cost per unit? It is not being asked on per batch. For both the products using traditional absorption costing. Now traditional absorption costing focuses only labor hours or machine hours, whichever is higher. Okay, whichever is higher, it focuses on labor or machine hours. Now see, we are not having the information. See, what is the requirement given to us? Units, floor area occupied, total units, labor hours, inspection, and number of setup. There is no machine hour, which means for absorption costing we will be taking labor hours per unit. Now see what we have to do. First understand the concept, then I will be using this scratch pad as well. Okay, okay. Later on I will be using that scratchpad as well in order to show you the demonstration how it will work, or how you can use that scratchpad facility where there are remote examinations. Anyways, coming to the point, what was the requirement? That is traditional absorption costing. Now see, it's absorption costing, and for absorption costing we need total labor hours and total overheads. Remember, we need total overheads. Now total overheads 24,000, 38,000, 95,500. Do not look at the name of the overheads. No, ignore it. Just calculate all the total overheads. This is the limitation of traditional absorption costing, that it does not look into the name of the overheads. It just calculate the overheads total 24, 38, 95.5, 24,000, 38,000 plus 95,500, 38,000, 95,500. What is the total value? I'm also using the calculator, or you can use this calculator facility as well, which is built in here. You can use your keyboard in order to calculate this. Okay, 24,000, 38,000 plus 95,500. This is 157,500. This is the total overheads. Focus on the word total overheads, and we also need total labor hours. We need what? Total labor hours. Okay, total labor hours in a factory. Now this is product alpha and this is product beta, which I will be calculating here. Now look at the figures. Labor hours, and that is on per unit. Labor hours, and that is on per unit 3 and 5. So 3 multiplied by 10,000, 5 multiplied by 15,000, because we need total labor hours. 3 multiplied by 10,000, 3 multiplied by 10,000, which becomes 30,000, and 5 multiplied by 15,000, 5 multiplied by 15,000. So 30,000 plus 5 multiplied by 15, which is the 75,000, and in total you get 105,000 hours. 105,000 hours, and simply you can now calculate overhead absorption rate 157,500 upon 105,000. So 157,500 upon 105,000, it is giving me dollar 1.5 per labor hour. 1.5 per labor hour. Okay, this is something, this is the rate, overhead absorption rate. But what was the requirement? We need to calculate overhead cost per unit for both the products using traditional absorption costing. Okay, now this is something per hour, and how many hours to make, product A and product B. So it is taking 3 hours and it is taking 5 hours. So just multiply with the rate. Overheads per unit, 1.5 multiplied by 3 and 1.5 multiplied by 5. You will be receiving your answer. 1.5 multiplied by 3, that is 4.5, and 1.5 multiplied by 5, that is 7.5 per unit. Now this is my answer. This is my answer. Overhead cost per unit 4.5 and 7.5. I will be writing here my answer 4.5 and 7.5. This is my answer which I have written here. Now see, this is the calculation which should be in your mind, and if in your location you are appearing for the paper in a remote based exam, then you will not be having, you are not allowed to use your pen and paper, and so you are required to use that scratch pad. Now see, the calculation should be in my mind. The calculation should be in my mind. How does what is the function of the absorption costing? And I noted down here 8 batches and uh, 8 batch. And see, I'm intentionally not writing the not typing the proper word. I'm writing in a shortcut so that you people should not have any confusion about using that scratch pad. It is your personal rough e-paper. Okay, so this is 8 batches and 4 batches. And what was the total overheads? Total overheads I noted 157,500, no comma, no dollars, 157,500 total overheads. Okay, and total overheads. And in your calculator you calculated the total labor hours, that was total labor hours. And what was total labor hours for product A, for product B, whatever, the total labor hours were 105,000. And so simple, now use your calculator, or you can use this calculator. The figures are in front of you. See how I am using 157,500 divided by 105,000. I get 1.5 the answer, and multiply by 3 hours. 1.5 multiply by what was the labor hours? 5. That's 7.5. So 4.5 and 7.5 is my answer. It is simple. It looks like a panic situation, but it will be normalized when you are used to, of this scratch pad facility. So students, give me the response about that scratch pad only, not about the concept. I know you understood all the things because many of you have answered here. Excuse me, students, just answer. Just answer. Is it clear to use the scratch pad area? Look, this is not a panic situation. It will be panic. It will be panic if you will think it is a panic for you. But if you can, if you are able to practice more, it's a normal situation. Yes, Arijasif, you can use your calculator, but pen and papers is not allowed. Okay? No, don't say we will try. Don't say we will try. Say we will do. Give absolute statement. We will do. When you say there is a try, there is some margin for not doing as well. No, we will do. Yes. Okay. Yes, Abdul Hanan, that's good. Yes. Okay. Okay. Don't say we will try. It's not a time to try. It's a time to actually do the thing. Okay. So So right now I am again switching towards my calculation this pad. I am writing just because I have to send this solution as well, because it may be possible most of the students are not writing, they are just watching the lecture. So this the material will be shared. And one more thing, many of the students WhatsApped me about the day 3 work, which is the yesterday. Then I replied in the WhatsApp group and to the individual students as well. Whatever the work of the last session, day 3, it will be shared after this session ends. Okay, after today's end of the today's session. Okay, now coming to towards the next. Which of the following is not correct? C. Which of the following is not correct? Select all that apply. Select all that apply. Now, through this objective test question, we will also be discussing some concept as well. Which of the following is not correct? Select all that apply. Okay. So read this statement and answer me in the question box, and answer me in the comment or chat box, whatever. All of you read this thing. I'm receiving so many answers, and only one answer is wrong, two answers, but 99% of the students answered me correct. Okay, now I am explaining which of the following is not correct. Number one, activity based costing is an alternate to traditional volume based costing. This statement is correct, and please do not mark here because the question is asking for not correct. Okay, many of the students might not read this because it is a normal perception which of the following statement is true. So the question is which of the following is not correct. Okay, the statement is correct. Next, activity based costing is best suitable in advanced manufacturing environment. AMT, advanced manufacturing technology. The statement is correct. The statement is correct. I am writing here advanced manufacturing technology. Now, what is advanced manufacturing technology? What is advanced manufacturing technology? Where activities are complex. Where activities are what? Complex. See, in the modern manufacturing technology, there are a lot of things like an artificial intelligence and a lot of uh, automated things, and the activities are becoming complex. And ABC is best suitable to deal. ABC is best suitable to deal in AMT because why? Because it relates because it relates overheads and activity, because it has a facility to relate overheads with the activity. So the statement is correct. Now number 3, activity based costing cannot be used to cost services. The answer is false, which means that is my marked answer. Activity based costing is also useful. It can also be used in the service industry. What the statement is saying, ABC cannot be used to cost services. The answer is false. Sir, it can be used in a service industry. It can be used in the specimen paper. In the specimen paper, no, in not the specimen paper. It was something else. In one other past paper, it was examined in a service industry. It can be used in a service industry as well. Activity-based costing, because there are a lot of activities in service industries. Okay, you can take an example of a courier service industry. There is a delivery cost. Obviously, the courier service incurs the transportation cost to deliver the goods. Okay, they receive the orders, that is the order collection process. So number of orders they received, number of deliveries they made in this time period on a particular week, a lot of activities. Last, activity based costing is a form of absorption costing. The answer is correct. This is the correct statement. So what option will you mark? Only this, only this. So this is my correct option, because the answer is false, and it is being asked which of the following is not the correct option. Okay, so third one is not the correct, rest all others are correct. So in this manner, through this MTQ, or you can say OTQ, you will be able to refresh your concepts as well. Okay, now moving towards the next part of the question, which is question number 3. And see, question number 3 is calculate overheads cost per unit. Okay, now see the requirement: overhead cost per unit for both the products using activity based costing. Now this is something I will be solving in this my rough sheet. Number 2, sorry, it was number 3 requirement, I guess. Yes, number 3 requirement, and that is activity based costing. What activity based costing? What is the basic function of activity based costing? It relates the overheads to the logical cost drivers. Now I am going towards the question. Now I'm going towards the question. Now you have to, now you have to read this, read these information, and I will not be removing number of batches. That is written 8 batches and 4 batches. This is a blue box, blue lined box. Just look at the requirement once again, students, by yourself. And I'm allowing you only 30 seconds to read this case once again, so that we can continue. Okay, now the first cost is the inspection cost. The first cost is the inspection cost, which is 24,000. Can anyone tell me what should be the appropriate basis to share this cost? In ABC, there are 3 costs here, and there will be 3 rates. There are 3 costs, there will be 3 rates. If there are 4 costs in a cost pool, there will be 4 rates. If there are only 2 overheads costs, there will be 2 different rates. But in absorption costing, only one rate was calculated using labor or machine hour. But here there will be 3 rates. Can anyone tell me what should be the appropriate basis? Yes, number of inspections. Number of inspections. Now see what is written here: inspection per batch. See, inspection per batch. This is not the inspection on per unit, this is inspection per batch. 6 inspection, 8 inspection. And how many batches are there? 8 and 4. So 6 and 8 are the inspection. Remember this thing. So I am calculating first one, that is inspection. What is the cost? Okay, we will look at later on. What was the inspection figure? 6 inspection and 8 inspections on product alpha, and on product beta there are 6 inspections and 8 inspections. I asked you to remember the figures. I'm showing it again. 6 and 8 inspection, but this is on per batch. This is on per batch, and 8 and 4 batches are there. Multiply by 8 batches and 4 batches. So in total, it would be, so in total it would be 6 8s are 48. 8 is to 4 becomes 32, and the total inspection would be 80 inspections, since 6 is on per batch. Okay, remember this thing, this is inspection on per batch, and we are totally having 8 batches. So 80 is the total inspection. I am writing here total inspections. And what was the cost? That's 24,000. Okay, see here, this is the 24,000 amount, and this is the 80 inspection, which is in total inspections in a factory. So you should be able to calculate ABC rate, that is 24,000 divided by 80. 24,000 divided by 80. So it is giving me the answer 300, and that is 300 per inspection. 300 per inspection, which means one time inspecting cost 300. One time inspecting cost $300. Now, uh, now what is the next? That is a setup cost, and setup cost obviously it will be shared on the basis of number of setups. Again, it is saying per batch. It is saying per batch 5 and 9, 5 and 9, and 8 batches and 4 batches, 5 and 9 setups. Now, number 2, that is the setup cost. I am explaining, that is why it may be uh, time consuming. Some students might say, but you can easily solve once you know the thing. Okay, now what was the setup? Alpha and beta. It was 5 inspections. I remember the figure, and 9 inspections. Again, sir, this is inspection per batch, and we are 8 and 4 batches. So multiply by 8 batches and 4 batches. 8 5 40, and 9 is to 4 becomes 36. 40 plus 36 is giving me 76. You can say total inspections. Now, what will be my ABC rate? Its cost was $38. Believe me, because I remember this thing. Okay, see that. It's a 38,000. Okay, 38,000 divided by 76. 38,000 divided by 76. It is giving me $500, and that is per setup. $500 per setup, which means when you will reset your production activity or setup again, there will be the cost worth 5,000 per setup. Now, number three is the property cost. Now, the property cost is 95,500, and I guess this is the most logical cost driver. Floor area occupied by departments, because there's a single factory. For example, there's a square meter, 320 and 180, whatever, 320 and 180, it becomes total. 320 plus 180 becomes 500 square meter. This is a floor area for which you are paying the rent. For which you are paying the rent. And there are, naturally, there are two departments, alpha and beta. there is a separate portion in one premises. So this property cost, like for example, like rent, should be shared using floor area basis. Now, what is the, we are moving towards the next page. What is the third element? And the third element is property cost, and its cost driver is floor area. And for alpha, it was 320 and 180. 320, and for beta, it is 180. 320 and 180. It totals become 500 square meter. Okay, and the property cost was 95,500. So what was ABC rate? 95,500 divided by 500. 95,500 divided by 500. It is 95,500 divided by 500. It is $191 per square meter. 191 per square meter. Okay, this is the property cost. Now the time comes to share the overheads. Now see what we are supposed to do here. This is product alpha and this is product beta. Okay, I'm making a portion. Number one cost was number one cost was 300 per inspection and the total inspection is 48. So first of all, we will be calculating the total overheads. Then we will be dividing by total number of units. It's 300 per inspection and 48 and 32 are the inspections allocated to the individual products. 48 and 32. 300 multiplied by 48, 300 multiplied by 32. What was the cost? That is inspection cost. 300 multiplied by uh, sorry, 300 multiplied by 48 and 32. Okay, 300 multiplied by 48 and 300 multiplied by 32. So the amounts are 300 multiplied by 48, 14,400, 300 multiplied by 32, 9,600. Number two cost was setup cost. It was setup cost. And what was the rate? The setup rate was 500 and multiplied by 40 multiplied by 36. 500 multiplied by 40 and 500 multiplied by 36. Now I am using my manual calculator. 500 multiplied by 48. Sorry, it was 48. No, 40. It was 40. No. So it becomes 20,000 and it becomes 536, 18,000. And number three was property cost. Property cost was recently calculated. 191 multiplied by 320 and multiplied by 180. 191 multiplied by 320 and 191 multiplied by 180. 191 multiplied by 320. 191 multiplied by 180. 34,380. This is called total overheads. I am making it total 14,400 plus 20,000 plus 61,120. It becomes 95,000 520 and 9600 plus 18,000 plus 34,380, 61,980. Now this was not the requirement. The requirement was overhead cost per unit. Overhead cost per unit. Now this is something which we had calculated total overheads, and the total number of units are 10,000 and 15,000 divided by 10,000 and 15,000 units. Now this is my final answer, which is overheads per unit. It is 4.132 and 95520 divided by 10,000. It is 9.552. So this was the cost per unit using activity based costing. Using activity based costing, this is the cost per unit. 9.552 overheads per unit, okay, and 4.132. 4.132. All of you in the chat box, just answer me, did you understand that solution? Did you understand that solution? Excuse me, all of you, show your interaction. Okay, that's good when you people respond. Okay, that's very good. And the solution had been saved in my drive and I will be sharing it later on. Now, students, the MTQ is not over yet. There is question number 4. There is question number 4. The theoretical part. Your theory must be strong. The following statements are made about overheads costing. Which of the statements are correct? Select all, tick all that apply. Students, just read this. I'm also doing one more zoom so that if someone is facing any difficulty, he or she can read it properly. Now, which of the following statements are correct? Yes, I'm waiting for your answers. Many of the answers are coming to me, but all of you answer me. Okay, Okay. Now I am explaining. Now I am explaining. Students, just see here. Traditional absorption costing tends to under allocate overheads to the products with a low volume products. That is absolutely correct. Why? Because you can see in the last example as well. See this example. See this example. The overheads burden in this where labor hours are high, the overheads will be charged high, and where labor hours are less, overheads will be charged less. Obviously, absorption costing is a volume based costing. Come on, students, absorption costing is a volume based costing. So the volume, the according to the volume, the overheads will be allocated. Traditional absorption costing tends to under allocate the overheads to the products with the low volume products. That's okay. The products are having low volume, obviously they are having the low activity, and that is why under allocate means less amount of overheads will be charged to the low volume products. Okay. Now number two, cost driver is any factor which causes a change in the cost of the activity. Yes, cost driver is the activity which brings the change in the activity cost. Number three, ABC will also give better indication of where cost saving can be made along with the better and accurate estimating cost per unit. Yes, absorption costing gives the better indication of cost saving because why? Because of the in-depth analysis of cost driver and a better accurate estimating of cost per unit because it estimates in a better way whatever the logical cost whatever the logical cost driver is. And number four, in a period when stock level increases, absorption costing reports lower profit. No, remember when closing stock increases, profit from absorption increases. Now there is not a calculative sample right now, but it is a very basic knowledge extracted from paper F2. When closing stock increases, profit from absorption increases, and marginal costing profit falls. So it is saying lower. The answer is no. So you will only have to take these initial three statements. Okay. Now this is the last question, last MCQ of this case study. Students, read the requirement, and it is a very simple thing. What is the chronological sequence of the steps to operate ABC in the company? Activity based costing is operated in the company through some steps given below. Come on, students, you had solved in question number 3 the absorption costing. What is the correct chronological sequence? Just tell me the correct option. Okay, everyone is giving me the same answer, and that is obviously B. Because see, 2413. What is to identify the organization? What is four? Collect the cost. What is one? Calculation of recovery rate. What is three? Absorbing in the production cost on the basis of those cost drivers. So B is the correct. B is the correct statement. Now that was the activity based costing, and I am closing this window, and I am closing this window as well. because we had covered this activity based costing. Okay, now students, we are moving towards next area, which is the product life cycle. Now listen, there is a difference between life cycle and there is a difference between life cycle costing. Costing is a different terminology and life cycle is a different terminology. Okay, what is basically a product life cycle? Product life cycle is basically the time period in which a particular product is demanded by the customer. I am giving you a very common example. Just go few years back when the demands of LCDs were high. LCDs you might be using or you may be using right now as well. But right now in the coming modern era, the LCDs will not be demanded. It is now the demand is shifted towards LED and then pocket PC. Okay, every product has got the life cycle just like a life of a human being, right from its birth to the death. That is cradle to grave, which is written as a proverb in this life cycle theory. This is development, number one stage, number two introduction, number three growth, number four maturity, number five decline. Now I am explaining the product life cycle first, then I will explain life cycle costing, and then we will be doing the CRQ. Sorry, OTQ. Sorry, CRQ will not be examined from this area. What is the product life cycle? Product life cycle is basically the time period in which a particular product is demanded by the customers. Okay, if I can give you the example, like a video game. Few years back, the Counter Striker game was most popular game, but nowadays it is shifted towards PUBG game. All right, so every product has a life cycle. This chapter is not covering the basic necessities because see, the demand of bread, butter, the demand of water cannot be ended. Okay, it is the basic necessity for survival. Life cycle is basically concerned with the technological product. It's a technological product. Previously there were a lot of demand of a desktop PC, but nowadays the demand for desktop PC has been reduced because in every office approximately everyone is using the laptop, and nowadays laptop come tablet. Now this is a life cycle. Okay, so life cycle is basically the time period. I am not saying the time period is a year. Now remember these words, this is a very important words. Time period may be, sir, what is time period? I don't know. The time period may be 1 year. The time period may be 2.5 years. I don't know. The time period may be 3 years. I don't know. The time period may be 10 years. We don't know. We cannot estimate. We cannot say it absolutely, but we can estimate to some extent based on the past experience. Listen, I am developing a software, and from my past observation, I noticed that such kind of software is replaced by the more advanced features within 2 years, so that I can estimate that my estimated life may be 2 years. We can say, for example, let's take a common example. There is a most popular video game, Counter Striker, few years ago, and let's suppose it was famous for 3 years, and after 3 years, the demand of Counter Striker game had been reduced, and now the people switched towards another game. Now there is a 3 years, and now still there is a time gap between 3 years and 4 years towards between these two products. And I am developing a new game right now, for example, so I can sense that according to the technological advancement in the country, according to the technological advancement in the country, I can estimate that based on the past observation, the estimated life may be 2 years. This is not the absolute life. See, the life is unpredictable, similarly like humans. Okay, so the costing is all done based on the expectations. Now these are the stages of a life. This is development, this is introduction, this is growth, this is maturity, this is decline. So I am removing this figures. Okay, the life may be estimated life. Now let's understand the key features of these stages. This is a development stage. Here the company is doing research and development. Here no activity. Here no activity. But in the introduction stage, see, this is the introduction stage. This is the introduction stage. And and this is the growth stage. And this is the maturity stage. I'm using different colors. Maturity stage. And then this is the downfall, I mean decline stage. Okay, now what is in the introduction stage? Product is newly launched. Product is newly launched, and obviously there may be a high marketing cost. There may be high marketing cost. It is written marketing cost. There may be high marketing cost. Why? In order to attract the people, attract the customers, we have to bear some high marketing cost in the introduction stage. And now the growth stage. The growth stage is something customer accepted you, and you are growing, and you are growing. Customers acceptance you gain here. That is why your product is in the growth stage. And this is now the maturity stage. This is something, this is something you can say, maturity stage is something you can say, you are at the top level right now. You are at the top level. Your products popularity is something stable. Your products popularity is something stable at this stage. If I ask you, do you know the Facebook product? You will say yes, because when Facebook was launched, it was in the introduction stage, and then around 2006, 7, 8, it was in the growing stage. Now it is at the top level. For example, Google, YouTube, WhatsApp even, and this is now at the top level growing stage, top level stage, not the growing stage. It is at the top, top of the building, top floor. And there is a downfall. There is a downfall when the demand is over. Demand is getting declined. The suitable word is demand is declining. But now, students, I want you to notice if you are doing. If not, that I am writing here at maturity stage. At maturity stage. This is the maturity stage when you are at the top level, and the next stage is your downfall. So at maturity stage, what company should do? Company should introduce company should introduce innovative features. I can give you a very common example which you people are observing at your mobile phone. For example, right now WhatsApp is at the top stage. WhatsApp is at the top stage because every official and informal communication are also being made through the WhatsApp media. Now, when the WhatsApp was introduced in 2008 or 2009, it was in this stage, and it was growing. It was growing in 2011, 12, 13, 14. Now everybody uses the WhatsApp. It is at the maturity stage. Now another application may take it over through advanced features. Now what WhatsApp did, WhatsApp brought innovative features. What, for example, when it was in the growth stage, there was no video call option. They introduced the video call option. They introduced the option delete for everyone. They updated their product like status. So like any status. Similarly, the Facebook, like different kind of emojis, and they had published in the media. So when you will introduce the new features, likely chances that likely chances that lifespan can be increased. Now these are the phases of the life. These are the phases of the life. Okay. Students understood this concept of life cycle. This concept of life cycle. Yes. And obviously the higher profit is at the maturity stage. See this line. This line is the profit line. See, this line is the profit line. You can see that line. Profit line. Profit is higher usually at the maturity stage when you are the market leader. So this is the okay. And in introducing the innovative features can increase the lifespan and also customer, and also increasing or maintaining the customer level, and also the customer level. So this is the, I'm writing in a fair and visible words so that you people can go through it later on as well. Okay. So product life cycle is basically the life cycle. This is the time period, and I don't know about the time period. Even you don't know about the time period. You can just estimate. You can just estimate estimated life. You can just estimate. But remember one thing, it is not a 1 year. It may be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 3.5 years. It is not necessary a 1 year. 1 year costing was the traditional costing. Now it was a life cycle concept. Now moving towards the next thing, this is a life cycle costing. Students, what do you mean by the term costing? The term costing means estimation of cost. Simply costing means estimation of cost. Estimation of cost. This is estimation of cost means costing. But this is what? This is life cycle costing. So means in life cycle costing, estimation of cost will be on 1 year, no, over life. Over life. The life may be 1 year, 2 year, or we can simply say from birth to death, from introduction, from development to the decline stage, from cradle to grave. It estimates the cost and revenues attributable to the product over the entire life cycle, not on 1 year. 1 year is a traditional method. Okay. On the entire life, estimated whole life, estimated whole life. Okay, whatever the year it is. For example, if I am expecting that I am launching a software or any Android application, and I am expecting that my application will last around 18 months, which is 1.5 years. So whatever the costing I will be making, that will not be based on year one, year two, it will be based on 1.5 years, 18 months, on the whole life. Okay. Now this is the very important heading, cost in life cycle. If you people can, I will encourage you to note this down. Whatever I am writing using red color, this thing you should note down. If you are noting, if you are not noting it down right now, I will strongly encourage to note it down at least. There are three types of cost. Three types of cost in life. Number one is research and development cost. Okay. And number two is operational cost, operational cost, and number three is end of life cost. Now, what is this, sir? Okay, let me explain. Research and development cost, we all know. But what is the operational cost? Operational cost includes like production cost, production cost, like your marketing cost, like your training cost, and it includes all production and non-production. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of all production and non-production cost. Okay, this is production plus non-production. All the cost you need to calculate, all the cost, because in life cycle you will be incurring all the cost. There's a limited life. There's a limited life. Training, there's a training cost, other operational cost, other operational, whatever. Okay, now end of life cost means you can safely say like a dismantling cost. Which cost? Dismantling cost, or you can say decommissioning cost. Decommissioning cost is like, if I can explain in a very simple language, that is, it is a cost to uninstall the plant. Okay, the cost to remove the plant. If you are about to install something, you need to uninstall something after the life gets end. So you can simply write cost to uninstall, uninstall the plant, etc. So one thing I would like to uh, add here using different color, we can say this is a, we can say this is a non-production cost, or so sorry, simply write it's a non-operating cost. It's a non-operating cost. Make it a star, and this is only the operational cost, and this is also non-operating cost, which means that operating cost includes all the things which are necessary to operate the business, to run the business. This is the birth cost, this is the death cost, and this is the survival cost. Okay, in a simple language I explain these costs. So the survival cost is something different, and this is the death cost of the product, and it was like a birth cost of the product. So differentiate between operational and non-operational cost. I will be referring this slide once we will start the OTQ for this. Okay, now we are moving towards the next slide, and this is the question. Hurry up, students. What is the thing? Calculate life cycle cost per unit. There is a solution space here, and I will be solving this question here. First, read the requirement. Calculate the life cycle cost per unit. Okay, let me explain in a quick manner. Life cycle cost per unit. How will you calculate? You will collect total life cycle cost. Total life cost divided by total life units. I'm marking total life cost and total life units. Okay, now just go through this question. Allow yourself only 1 minute, not more than that. Start. Read the question. All right. I hope you might had gone through this question, and I am reading this question, so focus here. The company had estimated 4 years of life, 4 years life of the product, comma, depreciation charge per year amounted 28,500 of the machine whose life is 4 years. Now this is something a very confusing statement. I will catch it later. Okay. Total 4 years production cost, not because of the confusion, because if you are facing any confusing statement from the student point of view, I'm skipping this for a while. Total 4 years of the production, yes, we will take 600,000. Variable selling overheads is 5 per unit throughout the life. And the total units are 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, and 5,000. If I can total all these, what is the figure of the total number of units? 2,000 plus 2,500 plus 3,000 plus 5,000. It is 12,500 units in a life. Now I have to collect the total life cycle cost, and most of the students might be worrying about this depreciation charge. I will make it very simple for you, and uh, later on, just wait a minute. Training cost over a life 50,000, yes, okay. Marketing and other costs including 300,000, okay, fine. Now what about this cost, sir? This is the depreciation charge per year, amounted 28,500. Now the students might be arguing, that's a depreciation. Should we need to charge the depreciation? It's a non-cash expense and all that stuff. So students, depreciation is what? Depreciation is something the spread of cost. Sorry, depreciation is something the spread of cost over the life of the machine. How do you calculate depreciation? If nothing is mentioned, so it is a well assumption that we are using a straight line method. How do you calculate the depreciation? Cost upon life. Now, for example, the depreciation is 28,500. I don't know the cost of the machine and the life is 4 years. So 4 multiplied by 28,500 multiplied by 4, 28,000 multiplied by 4 is 114,000. This is basically the cost of machine. What is depreciation? Depreciation simple means depreciation is the spread of the cost of the machine over the entire life. Now see, this is estimated. Now assume that this information is not given, and if you might have given the cost of the machine, you will be surely taking this figure 114,000. The question created the complexity. They gave you the, you can ignore the word depreciation. Ignore the word depreciation right now. Just understand the question is giving you the cost of machine on per year. So simply this is called the depreciation. So 114,000 is basically the cost of the machine. Okay. Now in the next slide, I will be noticing these figures. So first of all, that is the cost of machine, 28,500 multiplied by 4 years. That is giving me 114,000. These are the dollars. Okay. What's next? 4 year production cost total. We need a total cost. Sir, the production cost is 600,000 in total. Next, variable selling overheads $5 per unit throughout the life. And how many units are there? 12,500. That is already calculated here. Okay. So variable selling overheads $5 multiplied by 12,500. 5 multiplied by 12,500. That is 62500. And training cost 50,000. Training cost 50,000. and marketing and other costs 300,000. Marketing plus other cost, that was 300,000. Now this is the total. This is not something actual. This is the estimated total, estimated total cost. Now I am calculating it. 114,000 plus 600,000 plus 6 to 500 plus 50,000 plus 300,000. The total is 112. I think I should change the color. That is 112,6500. So cost per unit 112,6500 upon life cycle units 12,500. It's 90.12 per unit. So I hope that the depreciation confusion element might have been resolved here. This is basically the cost of machine per year, and total cost of the machine is 114,000. Okay, now this is the life cycle cost per unit. Yes, Navjot Sudan, it might be included. If it is not uh, clearly mentioning, it might be included. Yes, we can safely assume that. Design cost might be included in the research and development cost. If it is not saying it clearly, it is in the design and development cost 300,000, including this R&D. Okay. Now, is it clear? Is it clear, Navjot? Is it clear? Okay. Now I am, but here it is included. Okay. Now, students, I am proceeding towards the. Now it's time for OTQ. Okay. Now it's time for OTQ, and I will be opening the OTQ for life cycle costing, and here is the OTQ. Listen, see this. I have selected this question because it is recently examined. Recent means it's a last year question, March or June 2019. The following scenario relates to question number 16 to 20, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It is a past paper which we are doing. I just want you people to read the case from here till here. Ignore this thing right now because I am saying so. When the time will come, I will ask you to read that paragraph as well. First of all, read this information. Vault company generates. Just read till here. Do not try to solve. Just read. Start. Okay, students, now I am reading this case. I am reading this case. Volt Company generates and sells electricity. It operates two types of power station named nuclear and wind station. Okay, there are two types of station. One is nuclear and number two is wind station. The cost and output of the two types of power station are detailed below. Now, why I had asked you to read till here, why I had asked you to read till here, just because of the first requirement. Okay, now I am removing these markings and just read the first requirement, number 16. What is the life cycle cost per gigawatt? Gigawatt is the unit of the nuclear station to the nearest triple zero. Okay, to the nuclear station. That means question number 6 is only covering this information. This is covering only this information, which is the nuclear station. Now, I am reading this. A nuclear station can generate 9,000 gigawatts of electricity in each of its 40 years of useful life. Operating costs are 486 million per year. This is 486 million. Now the next statement is the confusing statement from the student's perspective. How? It is saying operating costs include a provision for depreciation of 175 million to recover 7,000 cost of building power and station. Now, what is the common mistake the student can do at the student level? A student might be doing like that way: 175 multiply by 40 years, multiply 175 multiply by 40 years is 7,000. This the student might be including once again, but the question is saying this is already included, which means this is an irrelevant information to us. This is called the examination. Okay, this is the examination. This 7,000 is already included in 486 million. If the question was saying, if the question is saying that it is showing in separately, it is saying nothing that you can add them, add this cost as well. But the question is expressly saying that this is already included. Okay, move ahead. Each nuclear station has an estimated decommissioning cost 12,000 million at the end of the life. See, this is the one time cost. Obviously, this is the death cost. This is the grave cost, 12,000. Okay, this will not be incurred every year. This will be incurred at the end of the life. The decommissioning costs relate to the cost safely disposing of spent nuclear fuel. Okay, number 16. What is the life cycle cost per gigawatt of the nuclear station? Now, students, I am adding one rough sheet here, and that is life cycle costing. The question name is Vault Company, March June 2019, and here is the solution for you people. Number one, what was the requirement? Sorry, I can rename it. Life cycle solution. Okay, what was the requirement? That is nuclear station. I should write the students. This is the question. Just calculate and answer me in the chat box. What may be the answer? Just let's try. Let's give it a try. And answer me in the chat box. Answer me in the chat box. Any answer from rest of the other students? Uh, okay, let's see. It is something which you can calculate. Now I am calculating this. Now I am calculating this for you people. This is now 9,000 gigawatt uh, in each of the 40 years of useful life. Now the question name was number 16. The OTQ is from 16 to 20. Now the 16, this is the nuclear station. This is a nuclear station, students. I am doing it fastly. Just pay attention. This is 9,000. I can say 9,000 units multiply by 40 years. So it will be giving me 360,000 units in a life. 360,000 units in a life. Okay, fair enough. Next, what is the life cycle cost? Total life cycle cost. It is 486 million. Now, from the student perspective, I am writing the simple figures. That is cost 486. This is million. Okay. So I am writing the whole figure 486 million, but this is per year. This is per year. Okay. Multiply by 4 years. Multiply by 4 years. So if I will multiply 486 multiply by 4 years, it is 1944. 1944. Sorry, it's a 40 years. Sorry, it's a 40 years. Sorry. It's 40 years. Okay. Students, there's a 40 years. 40 years. So it will be 19440. Students, I am writing the complete figure. Million. Okay. Now all the figures. And the next cost was the decommissioning cost. Decommissioning cost was 12,000. You know why I have taken the complete figures? Because these are 360,000 units, and it's often students made a mistake in million or triple zero. Anyways, I am coming towards the total figure, and the total figure is 31440, and that cost per unit you can divide. 31440 divided by 360,000, and the answer is 87,333. Now, if I can closely measures ignoring 30, that's become option C. That is 870,000. That is option C. Okay. So this is the nuclear life cycle cost per unit. Option C I have mentioned here. Now, students, I am moving towards the uh, this is option C. Now moving towards statement number 17. Which of the following will decrease the total life cycle cost of a nuclear station? Which of the following will decrease total life cycle cost of a nuclear station? Number one, increasing the life. No, because if you will increase the life, if life will increase, the operating cost will increase. Number two, reducing the decommissioning cost. Yes. So the option is two. If the decommissioning cost will be reduced, the total life cycle cost will be reduced. But if a life will be increased, the operating cost will be increased. So the option is two. Two only. Now, number three, I mean number 18, according to this question, it is saying how would the disposal cost of a nuclear fuel be categorized in an environmental management accounting? See, this is not the topic of environmental management accounting, but I'm giving you a very little explanation about it. Environmental accounting is basically concerned about the waste and pollution and all that stuff. There are different categorization of cost, which I might be giving you the handout or explaining it later on. But from this question perspective, the disposal cost of spent nuclear fuel to be categorized is it something the cost which external party is generating, or internally from the organization? Disposal costs, it's an internal failure cost because it is the actions of the management. Number 19 is the very important requirement. And first of all, I would like you people to read this case. Sorry, read the requirement. If Vault Company sets a price to earn an operating margin, see, I am highlighting this thing, operating margin, which is 40% over the life of wind station, what will be the total lifetime profit? Total lifetime, total lifetime profit per station. Okay, the thing which I had highlighted using a yellow color, that is an important information, but I want you people just to read this wind station information. Hurry up. The wind station information. Okay, now I am reading this wind station information. See, a wind station can generate 1750 gigawatts of electricity. See what is written here. It is the life cycle cost 55,000 and operating cost 40,000. I said I will be referring this sheet once again. See these costs in a life cycle. There are three categorization of the life cycle: the birth cost, the survival cost, and the death cost. Students, the birth and the death cost are non-operational, are non-operational, and only the operational cost is the survival cost. Okay, and only the operational cost is the survival cost. Now, if I will be referring this thing, the question is saying 40% operating margin. The question is saying 40% operating margin, 40% operating margin. Okay, now listen, for question number 19, for question number 19, I will be explaining something here. Question number 19. See, uh, first of all, I should remove this thing. Okay, I'm writing. There is 55,000 total life cost, total life cycle cost, and out of which, in the question was 55,000 the total life cycle cost, and operating cost was 40,000. Operating cost was 40,000. Okay, operating cost was 40,000. So 40,000 was operating cost, which is a survival cost, and the difference is what? Obviously, 55 minus 40 is the 15,000. Obviously, there is no need of calculator. This is 15,000 non-operating cost. Non-operating cost. And remember these words, when there is operating profit margin, when there is operating profit margin, we do consider only operating cost. Which cost? Operating cost. Now, how will the uh, profit be measured here? We will be taking sales, which will be 100%. We will be deducting cost, which is which we have to refer to the question. Okay, now let's now read the requirement. The requirement is saying, the requirement is saying what will be the total life cycle profit per station. Total, listen, I have highlighted total lifetime profit per station, 40% operating margin. Okay, now if my profit is 40% margin, and this is operating profit, okay, so the cost will be only operating cost, and that will be 60%. So how will the profit be measured here? The operating cost is 40,000. The operating cost is 40,000. Okay, it will be deducted. This refers 60%. So divided by 60, multiply by 100. 40,000 divided by 60, multiply by 100. It will be giving to me 66667. Sales minus 40,000. It is giving me 26,667, which is operating profit. But I have to deduct one thing more, and that is non-operating cost. Non-operating cost is 15,000. So this is what life cycle profit. This is life cycle profit minus 15,000, and this is $11,667. But this is not my answer. See the requirement. This is the total lifetime, which is the question is asking. Total lifetime. Okay. Now, what is this saying? 1750 gigawatts, and its total life is 20 years. 20-year total life, and 1750 gigawatts means 1750 units. So 11667 multiplied by 1750 units multiplied by 20 years. This is my lifetime profit. This is my lifetime profit. Multiply by 20 and multiply by 1750. This is 408,345, lot of figures, and simply we can say 408 million, and that is option B here. Option B, because this is being mentioned here in million. So this is option B. Okay, students. So one thing to be noted here, that operating profit margin, we do consider only operating cost, and all the non-operating costs will be deducted thereafter. This is a operating profit margin. So naturally sales will be 100% and profit will be 40%, since it is an operating profit. I hope this thing is cleared now to all of you. Now coming towards the last question of this life cycle. Which of the following are the benefits of life cycle costing? Which of the following are the benefits of life cycle costing? Number one, it facilitates the designing out of cost at the product development stage. Yes. Why? Because the design out of cost of the product development stage, if you can reduce, if you can control your cost, it will be beneficial for you in the entire life. Number two, it can encourage better control over the operating cost of the life. Yes, once you can sense the life, once you can estimate the life, once you can estimate the life, you can have a better control. Number three, it gives a better understanding of overheads. No, it's for ABC. And number last, it provides useful data for short-term decision making. No, it's relevant costing. So the only one and two, option B. Option B. Option B. Okay. Now this was the life cycle costing, and we are taking a very short break right now. Short break of 5 minutes. I will resume at near about 9:30 p.m. PST. Okay, resume at 9:30 p.m. and the next target is the target costing, and then we will be proceeding to for the target costing. Okay, now students, it's 9:30, the resumption time period. We are back from the break, and all of you are here. Please show your presence. All of you are here. Yes. Okay. Now, yes, yes, I am here. Mohammad Farad, I am here. Okay. Now we are moving towards. Now we are moving towards the. First of all, I am closing this window of life cycle, and I am starting the next topic, which is the target costing. Now, students, see this thing, target costing. First of all, let's have a quick understanding about the target costing. Target costing is basically target costing is basically used. It is basically used when market is competitive. When market is what? Competitive. Target costing is basically used when the market is normally competitive and there is a lot of competition. Now in target costing, there's a simple thing that I wrote. First, set the target. Second, perform costing. Now what do you mean by the term first set the target? First set the target means that selling price you need to obtain from the market. For example, obtain from the market. Now see, for example, if you are about to launch the product that is already being traded in the market, that is already being traded in the market, and that in the market it is being sold at $80 per unit. It is being sold at $80 per unit, and you are about to launch this product. You are about to launch this product that is already traded in the market, that is already being traded, it is already being traded in the market. So I cannot launch this product more than 80. Why? Because $80 per unit is the normal selling price in the competitive market. $80 is the normal selling price in the competitive market, and I cannot launch this product more than 80 because no customer will buy it from me. So I will also be selecting this as my selling price, and my target is, let's say, my target is to earn $10 profit. My target is to earn $10 profit. So from that perspective, 80 minus 10, $70 is my target cost. $70 is my what? Target cost. So this is the target which I had set it already. This is the target which I had set it, that from $80 I want to earn $10 profit. And so 70 is my target cost. Okay. Now secondly, I will have to perform the costing. Costing means my estimated cost. This is something is my target. This is something is my desire. This is something which I want to achieve. Now if I will estimate my cost, it is giving me estimated cost, that is plus non-production production plus non-production. This is the estimated figure. For example, if I will estimate this cost like 72.72, let's say, so that I am I am not be able to achieve my target. I am not be able to achieve my target because my target was to have 70 cost and possibly my cost may be 72. That means I am not achieving my target. I am away from $2, and that $2 is called cost gap. What is cost gap? Cost gap means when your estimated cost is greater than the target cost. When the estimated cost is greater than the target cost, so $2 is the cost gap. Now, first of all, see this thing. What I need to do, I need to first set the target, then perform costing. Next, this is a simple question. Simple question. Space Limited has a target to earn 20% ROI, and the investment is 280,000. That means target profit is 20% of 280,000. So the target profit which you want to earn is 56,000. Now see what is the next statement written here. It is saying estimated volume for the period. Estimated volume for the period is 1600. The selling price in the competitive market is 92. You cannot exceed that selling price. This is not the costing first. This is obtaining the selling price first. It is being traded in the market 92. The production and non-production cost is 59.5 per unit. Now see, this is my target profit over 16,000. So if I can say target profit on per unit, this is 56,000 divided by 1600. 56,000 divided by 1600, and that is $35. So what is the cost gap on per unit? Now, first of all, I will look around the market. The product is being traded at $92. Okay. What profit is my target? My target profit is $35, and my target cost is 92 minus 35. It is 57. And what the cost I estimated? Both production and non-production is 59.5. So if your estimated cost is greater than this value, then the difference is called cost gap. Listen students, cost gap does not mean that you are having a loss. It means that you are away from your target amounted $2.5. That means you are still in a profitable position. See, I will be selling this product at 92 and my cost will be 59.5. See, I will be earning the profit, but that is not my target profit. So cost gap does not mean that you are facing the loss. It means that your target profit is not being achieved. Okay. Now we are moving towards the, if the cost is less than the target, then there will be the additional profit. There will be the abnormal profit. There is the abnormal profit. Okay. Now, this is something to reduce the cost gap. How will you reduce the cost gap? The cost reduce the student. This cost gap must be reduced. This must be reduced. Cost gap should be reduced. Cost gap means that you are away from the target amounted $2.5 and it should be reduced. Okay. Now, what do you mean by the term cost gap? Reducing the cost gap, it means focus on the cost reduction and see that these are the possible ways of the cost reduction. You can use your alternate material. You can switch to another supplier who might be giving you at the lower price, bulk quantity to avail the discount, reducing material waste by giving training to workers, idle time reduction, consider outsourcing option. These these all the things which will reduce your cost, but not to change your target. Not to change the target. Focus on the cost reduction. That is own cost. Your own cost should be reduced. Because if you will reduce your cost, it means to say that this 59.5 this 59.5 should be reduced. If your own cost will be reduced, your target will be achieved, your cost gap will be shrinked. And obviously, yes, there are side effects towards the quality as well. There is a risk. There is a risk. Now, students, I am opening the OTQ. It's time for OTQ, and I am opening it. See, this is the OTQ from September 2016 exam. This is Helot company develops and sells computer games. Now, students, I am reading this question. You should focus here. Helot company develops and sells computer games. It is well known for launching innovative and interactive role-playing games. And its a new release are always eagerly anticipated by gaming community. Customers value the technical excellence of the games and durability of the product and packaging. Helot Company has previously used a traditional absorption costing system and full cost plus pricing to cost and price its products. It has recently recruited a new finance director who believes the company would benefit using target costing. Why? Because target costing looks at the competitive environment. Target costing is basically basically looks at the competitive, and target costing is used at the design stage, you can say, before launching the product. Obviously, it is being used before launching the product. It is used before launching the product. Now, what's next? After discussion with the board, the finance director undertook some market research to find out customers' opinions on the new games concept and to assess potential new games offered by competitors. Look what I had written here. It is used before the launching of the product and looks at the competitive environment. Now, the competitive environment, target selling price 45, for the Spartan and anticipated that total sale volume would be 350,000 units. 45 per unit is the selling price, and company wants to achieve 35% of profit margin. Company wants to achieve 35% of profit margin, and here is the calculation. The finance director also began collecting the cost data for the new game and has projected the following. These are the cost. Okay, number one. Number one is the theory part. Which of the following would finance director have to explain that what benefits of adopting target costing approach so early in the game life cycle? Come on, students, read this thing. These are the advantages of target costing. What are the advantages of target costing here, which you believe is to be correct? First, read the question. Yes, students, any answer from your side? Any answer from your side? What may be the advantages? Look, first of all, I usually remove the, I usually cut down the wrong answer. Why? Because number one is wrong, and when number one is wrong, option A is eliminated, option C is eliminated. How? I am reading just statement number one. I am reading just statement number one. Why? Because it is something written here. Cost will be split into material, system, and delivery and disposal categories for improved cost reduction analysis. This statement is basically the benefit of environmental accounting. This is basically the benefit of environmental accounting. This is not the benefit of target costing. Number two. Okay, I am skipping number two for a reason. Number three. It is a key concept that is based on how turn material into sale as quickly as possible in order to maximize the net cash. It is something related to the throughput accounting. I will explain when I will teach you throughput accounting. It is related to throughput accounting. Number four, the company will focus on the design out prior to the production rather than cost control during the life. It's yes. Why? Because you adopt target costing. I already mentioned here that target costing is used at the before the product launch, so that cost reduction focus can be enabled at start. It's not necessary to reduce the cost during the life, during the running. When you can estimate that the main theme behind the target costing is that when you can estimate all the cost, then focus should be made to reduce the cost at start, and this is something which is written in the fourth statement. So the number 4 is correct. Number 3 is wrong. So the option would be D. Now I am explaining number 2. Number 2 is what? Customer requirements for quality, cost, time scales are more likely to be included in the decision of production. Yes, it is correct. Why? Because of competitiveness. See, the product life cycle, the target costing focuses on the competition in the competition, and that customer requirements must be considered here because it's a matter of competition. You cannot increase the selling price. Why? Because of the competition, and in the competition you have to look at the customer requirements. So option 2 and 4, D is correct. Now next, what is the forecasted cost gap for the new game? Cost gap. Cost gap. For cost gap, I need to refer back to the calculative information. This is the calculative information. Students, just go through it. What is the selling price? 45. And what is the profit margin? 35%. I think there is a space we can solve here. But I think we should need to calculate the cost first. It will be far more better. This is something production cost per unit. Read the data very carefully. This is per unit till here. And non-production cost, this is in total, which is ignoring 000. Okay, so 3, 2.5, 5.05, 0.5, 4.3. It becomes total 3 plus 2.5 plus 5.05 plus 0.45 plus 4.3. It is 15.3. Okay, and this is the total value: 2500, 1700 plus 1700 plus 1400. The total value is 5600, and the volume is 350, sorry. So 5600 divided by 350, it totals 16. Now what is the per unit cost? 15.3 and 16. Okay, I will write it in the next page. So what is the selling price? 45, and profit is 35%. Selling price $35 and target profit 35%. Sorry, it was 45. Let me verify once again. Yes, it was 45. 45 multiplied by 0.35, it is 15.75, the target profit which you want to earn, and your target cost is 45 minus 15.75, it is 29.25, and your own cost, which was, what was the amount? 15.3 and 16. 15.3 plus 16, it is 31.3. Now how far you are away from your target? The cost gap, it is 2.05. Option A. Option A is the forecasted cost gap on per unit. Okay, now number three. What is the number three requirement? Number three requirement is saying the board of directors has asked the finance director to explain what activities can be undertaken to close a cost gap on its computer games. Remember, you need to reduce this 31.3 your own cost. See, your target should not be changed because it is a target costing. In order to meet your target, you need to adjust your activities, your cost should be reduced. So, which is the appropriate, which is not appropriate? Just read the question. Okay, number one, buy cheaper, lower grade plastic for the game disc and cases. Should it be appropriate? Come on, tell me in the chat box. Should it be appropriate? No. Why? Because it's cheaper, but lower graded. It would affect the quality. It is, sir, it is not appropriate. You have to take in this box. Okay, no. Now, using the standard components wherever possible in the production, the answer is yes. Standard component means which is normally the standard. Okay. Number three, employ more trainee game designer on lower salaries. Should it be the case? Should it be the case to hire the more trainee staff? Uh, Probably no. Surely no. Because if you will hire the trainee candidate, the trainee employee, he's not an expert. The quality might be affected. Okay, so this should not be the case. It is not appropriate here. Use the company's own online gaming website for marketing, which means they are saying rather than outsourcing the marketing to someone else at high prices and paying them the marketing charges, it is better that I should market my own product by myself. Yes, it is far more better. This will save the cost. Now, students, quickly coming towards the question number four. Just see, this is a very interesting theory which also has an element of learning rate. First of all, tell me 90% learning rate is faster or 95% learning rate is faster. We did the learning curve. 90 is faster or 95? 90 is faster. Very good. 90 is faster means 90% means your time is getting reduced by 10 and 95 means your time is reducing by 5. So we can say 90% learning is faster. 90% learning rate is faster. But now finance director has realized that 95% learning rate should be applied. Which of the following is true? Come on, tell me which is the correct option. Yes, students, any option? Any option? See, first of all, now I am explaining. If I did estimate 90% learning rate, which means the time was reduced by 10 percentage, that means the cost may be low, but now 95% learning rate has been estimated and it should be applied, which means 5% time will be reduced, and so the cost is likely to increase. Why the cost is like, see, the target cost will remain same. The target cost will remain same, but cost gap will increase. C is the correct option. Why? Why? Because your time is now reducing by 5. and your cost will be reducing by 5 as compared with your initial estimation, according to which your cost might be reducing by 10%. Okay, so 95% learning rate. I can write in a simple language for you people. Just see here, low labor cost, here high labor cost. 90% means low labor cost, 95% means high labor cost, and that now they have realized that 95% rate should be applied, and due to high labor cost, your cost gap will increase. So those students who had mentioned option B, is it now clear to all of you? Is it clear? Those who mentioned option B, I am asking to those students. Yes, all clear? Okay, that's good. Because 90% means low labor time and low labor cost, and this will high time. So the option C is correct one. Now option question number 5. Hurry up, read this question. Hilot company is thinking about expanding its business and introducing a new computer repair service. Okay, it is now switching towards the service. It is now switching towards the service business segment. The board has asked if target costing could be applied to the service. Target costing can be applied in service as well. Yes, sir, it can be applied. But due to the complexities involved, but due to complexity in services, it may be difficult. Now, which of the following statements regarding the service and use of target costing is true? Just answer me in the chat box. Any answer? Which of the following? Okay, 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 okay. Now I am explaining. It is saying that, it is saying that which of the following statements regarding service and use of target costing is correct. Number one, the purchase of a service transfer ownership to the customer. Does service business transfer the ownership? The answer is no. The answer is no. For example, that you are receiving the treatment from doctor and at last you will become a doctor. No, there is no transfer of ownership. Number D, service characteristics include uniformity, perishability, and intangibility. Is it true or false? Perishability is okay, intangibility is okay, uniformity is not okay, because services are not consistent every time. Services are not consistent every time. Just experience your mobile internet. Sometimes it will be giving you 10 MB per second, sometimes 8. The services are fluctuating in nature. There is no uniformity. Number C, a standard service cannot be produced, and so target costing false. Target costing can be used, and the correct answer is B. Labor resource usage is high in services relative to material requirements. I am explaining this thing because services are more dependent on human resource. For example, there is a well established hospital, and if there is no doctor, you cannot provide the medical services. There is a very good college with a lot of good facility. If the tutor is not there, the lecturing services would not be delivered. So option B is correct. So option B is correct. Now, students, the time is not allowing me to proceed further. Now, the important announcement for you people. Tomorrow we will be resuming from throughput accounting, and tomorrow is the day 5. Must attend that session. Uh, and regarding the day 3 materials, I will be sharing all the things in the group. And if anyone is here who is not having my number, WhatsApp me at this number so that I might be adding you in the WhatsApp group. Okay, this is the number. Note it down. +92 333 311 3959. I hope this is my number. You people have saved that. I hope you saved that number. Okay, so the class, the today's session is getting end. Take care of yourself, take care of your health, take care of your study, and do revise all the things. I will be sharing day 3 materials in the group. Take care. Bye.